Yeah, I don't ever remember feeling like this. But I'm out here in these YouTube streets. So I want you to get your fingers.
I don't know what you're doing.
I want you to
right
get
now,
your
but
mouse.
I want you to check me out.
And I want you to check me out.
Get ready to do this. It's the relationship rehab. Like, share, and subscribe. We coming at you live. So come on, let's take a ride. Then subscribe to United Guns of America. Just click that link and listen up to what I'm telling you. It's the relationship.
Click that link right now. You know what I'm saying? It's your boy Brian Redmond, and I just want y'all to subscribe to my channel. You know what I'm saying? I want you to let me know what you think. I'm gonna talk about some things, you can talk about some things, and we can do our thing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's all about having a conversation, right? I mean, if we can't talk to each other, then, I mean, what are we really here for? I want y'all to be able to just come over to my channel, talk to me about what's going on with you, and I can tell you what's going on with me, and we can build some things, you know what I'm saying? That's all about growth, baby. So click that link, go ahead and swipe on your phone, whatever you gotta do. Share my content. It's just get me out here, baby. Cause we just talking, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I like doing what I'm doing because it's about the people. It's about us having a conversation with each other. It's about us discussing whatever needs to be discussed. And on these YouTube streets, this is the best place to do it, baby. Like, share, and subscribe. That's right. Click the link. Click the link. Yeah. I just want to say thank you to everybody that's out here that's already subscribed. You know what I'm saying? Cause y'all ain't the first one, and y'all ain't the last one. So I just want to give a shout out to everybody that done click the link, that done click the share, and then subscribe to your boy. Cause we gon' grow this thing together, baby. Relationship rehabbing, United Guns of America. To the world, blow up, baby. Yeah. Click the link, baby. Click the link, baby. Yeah. Hey, I just wanted to send a shout out to all y'all. I love y'all. That's why I do this. It's for the love of us, baby. I appreciate all of y'all. Ooh, we gon' do this thing. We gon' do this thing right here, baby. Hey, look, if you at a computer right now, just go ahead and click your link. What else you got to lose, baby? Tell me what you think. Hit the comment section. You can jump on the live panel. We do it all here. That's what it's all about. So come holler at your boy. I've been doing this for years, but I just got onto this YouTube thing. So hey, let's see what it do and where it can go.
To United Guns of America. Just click the link and listen up to what I'm telling you, telling you.
And there it is. Good evening, everybody. My name is Brian Redmond, and I am the host of the show on tonight. This is the Relationship Rehab and the United Guns of America. And on tonight, we are going to really talk about the Uvalde shooting and what took place as far as the timeline and as far as the officer's response. And I hope that that I don't offend nobody, but if I do, then I do. I'm not really too concerned about that, but I would like to say that I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Shout out to all my truckers out there. Thank you guys so much. Please click that like button. Please click the share button. And we are going to have ourselves a really good show. Now, I don't know if everybody's been following this. This is at the top of the news all across the country. And I guess one of the things that I felt that I needed to do this show about is, let me say this first and foremost. So for those of you who don't know, I was a law enforcement officer for about 2.5 years. And I actually have had active shooter training. Yeah, I've had active shooter training from a law enforcement perspective and from a
I guess you would call it a victim perspective, or a civilian, that's not victim, but from a civilian perspective. And what I saw as this has unfolded, it has really been one of the most disturbing and upsetting things that I've seen. I almost, on several occasions in talking about this, I've almost come to tears about it, because this is one of those things where I am so baffled. I am so disappointed and embarrassed at what took place from a law enforcement perspective with this incident, and then with what happened afterwards. Now, if you guys watched the show I did the other day about this, you remember me pointing out the red flag that I thought that was really something suspicious. And I said, and it was about the resource officer. And I said, well, if there was a resource officer, a school resource officer there, an armed school resource officer there, and they said that this resource officer had an encounter, why did they not give us the status or the full breakdown of that encounter? And for those of you who watched the show, you notice I said that, and it was puzzling to me. Usually when there's some type of usually when there is some type of interaction with the police, they usually give you an officer status. Officer was shot, officer was hurt, officer was killed, whatever the case. They'll give you that and let you know what the status of that officer was, and they didn't. And that seemed quite odd to me. What up with it, Lance? Shout out to my brother Lance, my little brother out there in the world. Lance said, I was Liam Assembly today and broke down in tears. I'm telling you, man, this is one of the most difficult things that I've seen. And the reason, and all of these shootings are devastating, you know what I'm saying, in some shape, form, or fashion. The humanity of it all and the lack thereof is one thing. But when you have sworn law enforcement officers who take an oath to enforce the law, and they not only make the wrong decision, but they make the wrong decision and then double down on it at the cost of lives and at the cost of 9 and 10-year-olds. You won't hear me say this too often, but those are not only some of the worst police officers that I've ever seen, but those are some of the biggest cowards I've ever seen. Those men were cowards. I don't know if it was women on that law enforcement team as well, but those officers were cowards. There's no other way to shape it up. There's no other way to say it. There's no other way to paint it. There's no other way. And I know there's some trolls or some assholes that'll look at this and will say, well, you weren't there and you don't know. Well, I beg to differ. As I was stating before, I was a law enforcement officer for 2.5 years. My father, who taught me a lot about just police work and police tactics and things like that, he was not only a Chicago police officer for 30 years, but he was also on the HBT unit, which is the Hostage Barricade and Terrorist Unit. And he made it his business to make sure he taught us the things that they did as far as their tactical approach to certain things. And it was just one of those things to where, aside from the stuff that I already knew, the actual training that I had in doing this, when they gave out the timeline and they talked about what these officers did, and I found out a lot of this morning. My brother Easy, he was really just giving me a lot of information on this. But when they broke all that shit down, I got so sad and so angry and so upset because they knew what they were supposed to do. This training that we have, this is like universal shit. Because active shooters are, it's each one is different. but because of the level of carnage that takes place with an active shooter, the training for active shooter is pretty much universal. The changes that are made are pretty much made across the board. Something comes up and it's changed, just about everybody does it. Most officers that are in leadership positions pretty much go to the same handful of active shooter training courses, and they bring it back to their departments and they teach it out. That's what most of them do. So it's not everybody's doing their own thing. Nope, it's not like that. Pretty much everybody is pretty much on the same page, and there's a consensus as to how the response is from a police officer's perspective to an active shooter. And we're going to talk about that tonight. There is a universal, for the most part. I mean, you may have a formation difference or something like that, but for the most part, that's pretty much how it goes. That is the way that everybody does it, is pretty much how it goes. And the way that these guys did it, it was beyond wrong. It was beyond wrong. And I'm going to go through it and break it down and just tell you, so you will be able to see where this shit went off the rails, where it went wrong, where the officers literally screwed up. And the fact that they had the audacity to stand out there outside of that building with what was going on in that building and with who was in that building, it is baffling to me. If I'm talking, you don't hear me say this too often. There should be these officers that were out there, the leadership officers, the sergeants, the lieutenants, and all, they should lose their jobs. Plain and simple. You don't get to make that kind of mistake and come back the next day and get on TV and say, oh, it was the wrong call. Yeah, I think we all know that. This is hindsight. You don't get to make that kind of call. You don't get to make that kind of statement when that amount of life has been lost due to your flat out idiocracy. There's no justification as to why they did what they did, as opposed to them just being cowards. And I'm telling y'all don't hear me say this too often about police officers getting fired and losing their jobs. This is something that they all knew. They chose the easier thing. They chose the easier thing. They chose the thing that would keep them safe. Those cowardly motherfuckers. And I'll call them all that to their face. To every last one of them that followed orders, that stood outside, you are fucking cowards. Now, anybody got a disagreement with me and argue with me? I don't give a fuck tonight. It is what it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to look at it with rose-colored glasses. I'm not going to do nothing but call it what it is and tell the truth. This was embarrassing. This was embarrassing. So, without further ado, my favorite part of the show, and we're going to get into what it is we're going to do tonight.
Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107.
Okay, so yes, please click that like button. Please click that donate button, the subscribe button. And like I said, tonight, anybody that has any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer those questions tonight. I'll be more than happy to. So here's how this shit goes. Let me explain. This is how it goes. When we were in active shooter training, the rule is this. And it wasn't just the fact that we sat in a class and went over this training. We actually went to a school. We had a school and was able to take it over. And we actually did the actual training and the drills and all of that stuff as far as the breach and everything. We did all of that from the parking lot all the way into a classroom with the actual live active shooter. We had our real guns. They were cleared and wrapped up with blue tape for safety purposes. And I mean, we literally approached the building in covering each other. We stacked up. We were in T formation. We went through and we cleared the hallways and everything. So here's how it goes. When an officer arrives at an active shooter scene, like they did at this school, the first thing that you are listening for are bangs. That's what you're listening for. Gunshots. You're listening for gunshots. Now, once you hear bangs, there is no waiting. There is no establishing a perimeter. There is no setting up command. There's no waiting for backup. There's none of that. If you get to a school and there are shots fired, you go. You go to the bangs, you go to the shooting, the noise, whatever the fuck you want to call it, you go there. And you confront the threat. And if you get shot, you should die confronting that threat. If it's you and a partner, if it's you and 4 other cops that all get there at the same time, and this is what I was taught, you guys arrive at the same time, there's a question that should be asked, and then you move in. And that question is, okay, who's in charge? Whoever says I am. You don't have to be a commanding officer. You don't have to be a sergeant. You don't have to be a lieutenant. You don't have to be a superintendent. You get there, we all pull up at the same time. We get out. We got our long guns. Who's in charge? I am. We following you. Let's go. We stacking up. We in a diamond formation, in a T formation. I prefer the T. I'm just saying. T formation is just that. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Somebody watching the rear. That's how you stack up. That's what you do. And you go in. And you go to the bangs. If you get in and you don't hear any bangs, you systematically go and you check each room in the hallway. Yes, sir, UFO, you know what it is. Rolling T, baby. If you do that, you hit every door, and that's simply, when you're in that T formation and you going down that hall, you checking each door and you checking for the bad guy. If you see victims, people shot, people laid out, people hemorrhaging, whatever the case may be, you keep going. You cannot stop and help that person. You have to keep going until you have eliminated the threats. And you keep moving. Once you hear bangs, you go to what we call dynamic. And that means you don't check no more rooms. You go to where the noise is. And you put down that threat. That's it. Ain't no negotiating. Ain't no chit-chatting. Ain't no calling, waiting for backup. Ain't no ordering pizza. Ain't none of that. You move to the threat and you neutralize that threat. That's it. So whether if it's 1 of y'all, if it's 8 of y'all, if it's 20 of y'all, when you get there, you go. Here's the reason why you do that. Because 20 years ago at Columbine, those officers sat up a command post. They established a perimeter, all the while listening to the gunshots. So the mistake was made 20 years ago. That's what they did at Columbine. Those officers got there and they still were hearing the bangs. They did not go in. They stayed outside and they set up a perimeter, established a base, waited for command staff, waited for backup, and did not go in. And then we saw the error in our ways and we changed that. That was a universal change. It's been like that for over 20 fucking years. When there is an active shooter, you go. That's it. There is no, oh, well, let's assess. Let's try to see what's happening. Let's try to go and see. You go. So now with that being said, what these officers were trained or should have been trained to do, and what they did, they tried to treat this situation like a hostage barricade situation. And a hostage barricade situation doesn't exist when you have an active shooter. It just doesn't. You can't turn it into a hostage situation when you have an active shooter. Active shooter is just that. There's an active motherfucker shooting. Once that has been established, there is no changing of the plan. You go get that motherfucker. Now, here's the other caveat. Especially if it's in a school. Especially if it's in a school. You don't wait for shit. You don't stop. You don't, oh, wait, let's see what's going on. Now the guy want to talk. No, you go. Because there are people in these rooms. You don't know what that person is doing. You don't know what that person is planning to do. That person could stop shoot. Well, he stopped shooting. Yeah, he could be doing that while he's setting up his fucking C4 bomb. Well, we didn't hear gunshots anymore. Yeah, that's because maybe he's reloading, assholes. Well, once the shots stopped, once they stopped shots fired, we didn't hear any more shots being fired. We thought it's how can you think it stopped and he's still there and you haven't neutralized him? You do not play games because seconds matter. You don't know how many guns he got. You don't know how many people are in there shooting. You don't know who's alive or who's dead. That is why you go. And if you get one of your boys get shot, one of your partners get shot, you still gotta stay in the fight. I'm telling you what it is I know and what I was taught. And that the whole other point to this is as well, as far as protocols that were not followed in a school. And I was an instructional assistant for 3 years at Chicago Public Schools, basically a teacher's aide. And I was also in a school where I was the well, not in a school, but I was a contractor for IT that serviced the Chicago Public Schools. Shout out to my boy Steve Matthews at ACTG. Shout out to you, player. But we serviced all of Region 1 and all of the tech, what was it called? Tech? It wasn't called tech. It was ETC, Education to Career Computer Schools. Anyway, I was going into Chicago Public Schools pretty much every day as my job to fix computers. And I know this to be true in all Chicago Public Schools, and pretty much any school across the fucking country does this. Every single door in a public school, schools period, is locked with the exception of a person at that door. So when you go to a school, all of the doors in that school, the surrounding entry doors, are all supposed to be locked. They ain't supposed to be propped open, left open, cracked open. They are locked for this reason and others just like it, so that nobody comes into that school without coming past a human. The only door that can be unlocked in a school is at a door where it is manned by a human being. That's why usually the main entrance is the only entrance that you can get into a school, because all the other doors are locked. Because they don't want people letting other people in. They don't want people being able to just walk into any door. Once that school bell rings, ding-a-ling-a-ling, all those doors are locked and closed, and the only door that is open is a door that is manned by a person. Whether you got a security officer there, whether you got a school aid person there, gym teacher there, I don't give a fuck if you got teachers taking turns rotating, watching the door. That's what it is. This fucking teacher that just so happened to be going to get a phone or some stupid shit like that left the door propped open. Why, I have no fucking idea, but that's exactly why you don't do it. Now, some people have been saying the conspiracy theory, they did it on purpose. This was all a ploy and all of that shit. I don't know about all that. I'm just telling you what it is that I know. You keep every door locked and closed except for the main entrance. And in some cases, that door is even locked and they get buzzed in. Just saying, that's what it is. Why this person felt the need to not only go out this door, which is fine, but to prop that door open because they lazy ass didn't want to walk around to the front, or if they didn't have a key, they damn sure should have got somebody to say, hey, come hold the door for me. So if you do see a crazy motherfucker coming with an AR-15 and a bag, you can shut the fucking door. I'm just telling you what it is that I know. This shit was not, it was so bad from so many different angles. And I just don't understand why these officers and how these officers had the fucking stomach to stand by and wait and watch and to hold parents back as 9 and 10-year-olds were literally being slaughtered like fucking lambs. People have to realize that there are protocols and things like that in place for certain reasons. And not to say that, hey, that person's probably went out to their car and have seen other people go out to their car 35 other times, and leaving that door propped open was possibly a normal practice or whatever you want to call it, just an honest mistake. But this is why things like that are in place. You never know when it's going to be your school. You never know if it's ever going to be your school. How about this? Why not you not be the asshole that does the lazy thing and fucks it up for so many others that literally won't have a chance? How about that? This school resource officer that they talking about that's supposed to have been there, wasn't there, they've been paying and charging the taxpayers to have him there, and this motherfucker wasn't there, and then these bastards got on national fucking TV and lied, and not only said that he was there, but the lying motherfuckers then said he even had an encounter with this person. Now, all the other shit, how many was shot, who got shot, who's dead, who's alive, who's hurt. Oh, they didn't know none of that, wouldn't speak to any of that. They wouldn't speak to any of that. They wouldn't tell you nothing. We don't know that yet. We're still gathering the facts. But you can, while you gathering the facts, you sure found it convenient to tell a fucking lie, trying to cover somebody's ass because that school resource officer probably was supposed to be in that motherfucking school. How about that? How about that? And I don't give a fuck if the school resource, if the resource officer was at fucking lunch. I don't give a fuck. You are there for that specific reason. And if that person waited for your dumb ass to go to lunch, guess what, motherfucker? You should be bringing your lunch. The fact that these motherfuckers began to lie, tell half-truths, even to the point where they gave the governor misinformation, it lets you know that they're full of shit. It lets you know that they're trying to cover it up and somebody is trying to cover their ass. And it's just one of those things to where you have to make sure that you follow protocol and procedure and policy for situations like this. And the reason why is because I know nobody's perfect. I'm not saying that. I know everybody is not going to do everything the right way every single time. But when it comes to shit like this where lives are on the line, man, you don't have a fucking choice but to get it right. You don't have a fucking choice but to get it right. Follow the procedure. Follow the protocol. Because I tell you like this, a locked door at that back of the school, a locked door while the school resource officer was out to lunch, a locked door could have potentially thwarted this whole fucking thing and not given that fucking asshole a chance. How about that? 2 locked doors. You lock that front door because you going to get your fucking Whataburger. You lock that back door because you going to go get your phone and don't go back and prop the fucking door open. Maybe, just maybe, that kid gets gunned down outside them fucking doors trying to get in. Maybe, just maybe, it's only 9 instead of 19. Maybe, just maybe, it's only 1 instead of 21. And let me say this before I start breaking down these videos. Let me say this. Someone asked earlier in the chat, and I've done a video about this several times. And the question came up, should teachers carry firearms in the school? I'm going to say this again. Do I think that teachers should carry firearms in the classroom? I don't think they all should. Nope, I don't. But those that want to and are willing to go through a certification course and to be trained, they absolutely should. They absolutely should. They should be allowed to. Do I think every teacher is capable of wielding a firearm and being able to shoot and take a life? No, I don't. I don't. But I do believe that there are some teachers, there are some people, there are some gym instructors, there are some fucking school administrators, some fucking deans of students, some fucking principals, assistant principals, vice principals, somebody in those schools could carry a gun and be an effective force. Because I would rather have a teacher that's afraid for their life and step up and shoot a fucking active shooter than to have nothing in there and to have them all in a corner with nobody to fight for them. With nobody to fight for them. With nobody to give those motherfuckers a chance. All you motherfuckers out here talking about we don't need guns and all that shit. Well, I tell you what, you take your ass to a school. And you tell me what you would do if some fucking psychopath comes into a school, into a 4th grade fucking classroom and does what this piece of shit did. You tell me what you gonna do. I'm not losing my shit again. I'm good. I'm going to stay on and do what I need to do. I got to get this shit out. But I can't get past the fact that these people have just totally disregarded their fucking training or not had any training at all and just literally let these people get slaughtered. These babies, these kids. Let's go.
Lieutenant, thank you so much for being with us. We have learned more details. We are still looking to fill in some of the gaps here, so I do appreciate your help. I do understand when the shooter arrived here, you have said he was engaged by a school resource officer. Engaged how?
Right. So good morning. So yes, as you mentioned, of course, our main focus right now as the lead investigating agency is to provide factual information, gather the facts. Right now, what we're trying to establish and corroborate exactly what was that role for that initial school resource officer. Was he responding in his vehicle? Was he off his vehicle? What was the distance between him and the shooter? So we're trying to establish exactly what was his role and how did he encounter the shooter. So we spoke to that school resource officer yesterday evening. Our Texas Rangers did an interview with him. So I'm hoping to receive updated information today at some point in regards to what was his exact role when he initially saw the shooter prior to going into the school.
You lying son of a bitch. He didn't. Why would you just not say, well, to our knowledge, this person was not there when this occurred? Because he wasn't. Plain and simple. Plain and fucking simple. You lying piece of shit. I understand that you want to protect your own. You want to back the blue and the thin blue line. I get that. But you don't fucking get up here and fucking lie and let the people be fucking misled when you got 19 fucking kids, dead fucking bodies on your hand. Their blood is on y'all hands, you motherfuckers. Own it.
And are you aware at this point if he did fire his weapon?
At this point, we are not. Initially, there was information, there was preliminary reports that as far as engagement, there was a encounter between him and the shooter at some point where there was gunfire exchange. But right now, we are trying to corroborate that information. That's why we spoke to the officer yesterday as part of this investigation, because again, we want to provide factual information to make sure we corroborate every statement, as far as anybody that's making statements out there, to corroborate what's ever being shared. So that's why it's very important also for anyone out there that has heard or witnessed anything to contact the Texas Department of Public Safety so we can speak to them and corroborate their statements.
You a goddamn lieutenant. How the fuck you don't know for sure? A simple no, he was not there. No, there was no encounter. You knew that shit, you lying motherfucker. He knew it and still trying to cover his ass, still trying to save face. You knew it. Why wouldn't you just say it? At this time, the reports that we confirmed, he was not there. There was no encounter. We don't know why there wasn't one and why he wasn't there. But goddamn it, he wasn't. There was no encounter. Let's keep the fucking facts and let's keep the shit straight. Your guy, your man, whatever the fuck it was, whoever the fuck he or she was, you fucking shit the bed, homie. You went to lunch at the wrong goddamn time on the wrong goddamn day. I don't give a shit. Plain and simple. That was your watch, school resource officer. If you gonna leave that building, there's no way I could be the school resource officer at a school. And I leave my post and that whole fucking school ain't bunkered, ain't hunkered down. How about you just get Uber Eats instead, motherfucker? How about you call one of those other fucking officers and say, hey man, can you come sit at this door? Bring your car around and come and sit here unless you get a call or something while I run to fucking whatever the fuck, get my Subway, get my donuts. I don't give a fuck. Why don't you do that? Do you know how many times officers check on and off for lunch all the time? And that's why they announce it. So you'll know, and you can see it at dispatch. You can see when an officer is off. They've checked off for lunch, got to take a shit, whatever the case may be. Did it all the time. Shout out to my partner, Todd. Hey, man, I got to go drop a deuce, baby. Let's park over here. We're going to give me 20 minutes. I got to work this out. You going to leave your school? Get you a marked car to come and sit in front of that fucking school, man. Hey, man, give me 30 minutes to go run and get my food, and I'm going to eat it when I get back here. I just want to run and go grab it. What did he say about that? Yeah. Yeah, I didn't watch what B. Tatum said about this. But yes, he is wrong on occasion. Yes, indeed. But I'm just saying, you gotta be smart enough to say, this is my post. This is my watch. I'm not gonna leave, because my thing is this. You're literally saying this, and this is just perspective. Yes, this is Monday morning quarterback, but you gotta take on the responsibility and look at it like this. I'm gonna leave these kids for an hour to go do what? Go eat? Go get my lunch? I'm gonna leave these kids defenseless. I am the only gun in this entire fucking school. Some 200-300 kids will be without a protector for 45 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, 3 minutes, 10 minutes. It don't fucking matter. It don't matter. Who would do that? JB says our school resource officer is also a city police officer. He often is not there due to trainings, or sometimes he has to leave to go deal with issues in the neighborhood. Then that's a bullshit ass resource officer. And this is why I said our government, who can send $40 billion over to the Ukraine to help them, could damn sure take $20 billion and send some of that money so that we can have school resource officers that actually show up and can be there from what time the school open up? 7:30 to 2:30? That's bullshit. You don't see motherfucking Secret Service leave and go handle other affairs when they on a fucking presidential detail. You don't see them leave, do you? Hell no. So I don't want to hear that shit. That's piss poor fucking school resource officer. I don't give a fuck what well, we got somebody here some of the time. Motherfucker, I need somebody here all the time. It's somebody down at the fucking tax office all the time to take my money, ain't it? It's somebody at the goddamn HR department to make sure all my taxes get taken out of my check all the time, ain't it? It's somebody that'll write me a fucking ticket when I run a red light with that red light camera shit they got going on all the time, ain't it? I don't pay my fucking rent. It's a fucking constable or a fucking county sheriff here to come evict my ass all the time, ain't it? I don't pay my light bill. It's a motherfucker always outside ready to cut the fucking power off to the goddamn power box all the time, ain't it? So I don't want to hear that shit about resources are limited. No, that's bullshit. Y'all fucking with the money the wrong way. Y'all fucking up the money. That's what that is. Because that 6-figure salary going to that fucking principal get dropped every 2 weeks, don't it? I don't want to hear that shit. Motherfuckers can find a way to keep everything to tax a fucking taxpayer. They can find a way to keep that shit on. They can find a way to keep that shit open. They can find a way to keep that shit up to date. We've made it even easier now. You can pay your IRS taxes online. You can find the money and the resources for that to process that shit, can't you? then I don't want to hear shit about how you can't have a fucking school resource officer in every goddamn school. I don't want to hear it. Shout out to Nickel City Don, hit your boy with $20. He says, we tired, roll tide. Derek says, shout out to Derek, hit your boy with $5. He says, in the Philippines, they have armed guards with shotguns and ARs at the door. They can do it in a third world country, but we can't. Exactly. We can do it. But you don't give a shit about that when your kids got a Secret Service detail. Shout out to Joe Biden. Shout out to Kamala Harris. You don't give a shit about it. When you wake the fuck up and it's a guy with a fucking suit on and a goddamn P90 or a fucking scar outside your fucking door every day, walking you to the car every day, standing outside while you eat lunch every day, walking into a building and sweeping it for bugs and bombs and every goddamn thing else every single fucking day. You don't give a shit about it then. Hope the president is on his way to go and see the families. Man, I don't give a fuck about that. My baby is dead. I don't care if it's Donald Trump, Abe Lincoln, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Ronald Reagan, Jimmy Carter, George Bush, Bill Clinton, George Clinton. I don't give a fuck who coming to see me when my baby is dead. Fuck all y'all. The fuck does that mean to me? And I'm not saying that they trying to, that they assholes, but it don't make a difference. It don't ease the pain to shake the fucking president's hand when my baby is dead, motherfucker. Because some coward-ass police officer stood outside, and I'm going to make the call as this being a terrorist situation. This is a barricade situation. The fuck? And I'm telling you like this, and you won't hear me say this too often either. If I was a parent outside that school, them officers would have had to shoot me. There comes a time when you heed a certain call. I ain't going to say ring out of we out of the world, but there comes a time when the person that's in authority is making the wrong call. You got to sometimes put it on the line and say, man, fuck you. I'm going. Shoot me if you're going to stop me. There's no way I would have stood outside while my baby was in that school. There's no way. I would have went as far. I would have shot that mother. I would have shot them motherfucking police officers. I would have cursed them off for cowards. I would have shot them mother. I said, man, if y'all don't let me go, y'all motherfuckers better get ready to shoot me right now. Y'all motherfuckers standing out here talking that calm down, hold back, we're holding the line. Man, please, my baby in there. Fuck what you talking about. My wife in there. Fuck what you talking about. I'm going, bitch. If y'all hoes out here scared to go, fine. Move out my way. Put your hand on me. You better put a bullet in the back of my head as I'm walking into the school. Because I'm not going to live with the fact of standing outside while some dumbass cops following a dumbass commander's orders let my baby die. Nope. I can't do it. I couldn't live with myself. Just like when I talked about how motherfuckers sat and videotaped and watched as them officers had it, that officer had his motherfucking knees on George Floyd. I don't give a fuck what kind of procedure that was. I don't give a fuck what kind. You got cuffs on that man. Get the fuck off his neck. Get the fuck off his chest. Because a simple motherfucking bum's rush would have maybe saved that man's life. I don't give a fuck what drugs he did. I don't give a fuck he had a counterfeit 20. He in cuffs. Get off of him, you piece of shit. I'm just telling you the truth, man. I ain't trying to, he was on fentanyl. He was on this. Well, he was also on a motherfucking nigga on his motherfucking back and chest and neck area. He was also on that. It wouldn't have mattered because of the drugs in his system, he would have died. Well, don't help him, motherfucker. How about that? So I guess if you get motherfucking stage 4 cancer, I can just come and stab your ass then, huh? He would have died anyway. He would have died anyway. He was going to die anyway, man. I mean, okay, well, fine. Let this motherfucker go on his own. He don't need your help. Fuck you talking about? A motherfucker shoot me in the chest. I don't need nobody to choke me. Just saying.
I understand that, and that's what we want. We want the accurate information. So at this point, what you're telling me is the officer was armed, unclear if he did fire his weapon. I do want to ask you about the door to the school.
And he just lied again because he wasn't there.
Was the door locked?
So what we know right now, and again, everything is still preliminary. We're still trying to establish what security measures were in place. We do know for a fact that the shooter was able to make entry into that school unimpeded, as far as there was no type of security, as far as locking mechanisms at that initial doorway. So we're trying to establish exactly what were the policies, what were the procedures for the school. So we're working closely with the school district, with the superintendents, to see what the policies were in place. But also one thing I want to add too, with that initial school resource officer, once we're able to corroborate exactly what was his role, we do know for a fact that the shooter was carrying a backpack prior to entering the school. And that backpack was left at the doorway prior to entering. So we know that backpack contained numerous magazines, numerous rounds of ammunition. So that ammo could have been used to carry out potential killings inside that school. So that's one key point that I want to point out, that backpack was left behind.
Understand, the backpack was left behind. So as bad as it was what happened here, what you're saying is it could have been even worse. The door was not locked. The shooter gets in. Right. We do understand that there then was an encounter with other law enforcement officers who had arrived on the scene, where shots were exchanged back and forth. Can you tell us definitively, was that before or after he entered the building?
So when the initial school resource officer arrived on scene, there were several other police officers from...
Why would the initial school resource officer be arriving on the scene? Did anybody catch that? Shouldn't this motherfucker be on the scene? Shouldn't this motherfucker have been on the scene? And I agree. If this motherfucker didn't know, he shouldn't have fucking had the fucking interview. At this time, we're going to make a statement, and once we get the facts, we'll be back. After these messages, we'll be right back with facts.
Uvalde that arrived as well immediately. And as that gunman entered the schoolway, entered that hallway of the school, those police officers also followed right behind that shooter. At that point, there was gunfire exchange. They were met with gunfire upon entering the school. Those two police officers were shot. At that point, the gunman was able to barricade himself inside the classroom in which he carried out those mass killings where 19 children were killed, as well as the two teachers.
The shooter is now...
Now, here's my thing. I get on the scene. I arrive at Robb Elementary, and I see not one, but two of my fellow officers shot, and the shooter is still inside. Why would I not go? Why would I not go? Two of my brothers are down. Whether it's a flesh wound or whether it's a fatal wound, they've been shot. Officers shot, all hell's breaking loose. I'm going to get there and do what? Wait? For what? Stand down for what? Why would I be in a holding pattern when I got a person who's just shot 2 police officers and is now inside of a school? Why would I think this person is going to barricade himself and not shoot the motherfuckers that's in the school? Why would I think that? That's an idiot that thought that. That commander is a fucking idiot. Lorenzo Davis says, so Brian, you telling me I guess he's trying to say would have would have shot it out with the police to get inside, to get to your child? Yes, I would have, because they're fucking cowards anyway. They probably wouldn't even stop me. And if I would have had to shoot them to go get my fucking baby, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because you do know that while this shit went down, and like he said, with those 2 officers shot, more officers are arriving on the scene. They heard the fucking bangs. You do understand that, right? See, that's the part that motherfuckers ain't saying. Because now with this timeline, and we're going to break that down, with the timeline, the officers got shot when they confronted this guy going into the school. They were already on their way there because of what had already happened with him shooting his grandmother in the fucking face, and with him actually going and flipping his fucking car. He then shot at 2 other people across the street at the funeral home. So there have been multiple 911 calls. Officers are already en route. So yes, when they got there, them motherfuckers heard the bangs. Just keep that shit in your mind. The bangs were heard by those police.
Inside the classroom, these 2 adjoining classrooms. How long was he in there?
Right. So I understand that's what everyone wants to know, is a timeline. We're trying to
see. This is the type of shit I don't like. Now, I've already previously broken down my opinion of George Floyd, and what I said was just what I said. I didn't add shit else. And it's always a motherfucker that always comes and says this kind of shit. George Floyd was detrimental to every community he was part of. What if it was your pregnant wife that he held a gun to her belly? Fuck Floyd, good riddance. Right. Well, sir, that may be your opinion, and you may feel that way as a man. I get it. But a law enforcement officer has to enforce the law. He doesn't get to play vigilante. So shut the fuck up about George Floyd, or get the fuck out my chat. How about that? You in your feelings, I'm giving you facts. I'm giving you the law. Police officers don't get to get into their feelings, and they don't get to be vigilantes. Their job is to uphold the fucking law, enforce the law. You break the law, I take you to jail. That's my job. Now, you may not know that because you don't know shit about being the police. I do. That's my fucking job. My job ain't to make you suffer. My job ain't to sit on your fucking chest. My job is to arrest you when you break the law and take your punk ass to jail. All that extra shit you want to add on, all the extra little shit you want to put on top, the little sprinkles you want to put on top of that, you go right ahead. That's not a police officer's job. And that's why you ain't one. So I don't give a fuck if he went and he stabbed 72 old ladies. Once I put cuffs on him, he's in my custody. I don't have to sit on his fucking chest, you dumbass. That's the problem with motherfuckers. You got your personal feelings into some shit, which I get, but that don't mean you get to motherfucking play vigilante, because you don't. You don't. As a police officer, you are sworn to enforce the law, not to get rid of, what did you say? Not to get rid of detrimental people in the community. You don't get to do that as a police officer. Now, if you a nigga on the street and he come in your house and he do that to your wife, then by all means put him down like the fucking maggot he is. But if you a fucking police officer, you fucking arrest him and do your fucking job. That's why you have authority, sir. Get y'all shit straight before y'all start running y'all mouths about y'all personal feelings and what somebody had did 10 years ago, 2 years ago, 2 months ago, or 2 days ago. It don't fucking matter. My job is to enforce the law on what occurred right now when the law was broken. And the law that was broken was that motherfucker passed a fake 20. That's it. Fuck all that extra shit you want to talk. You don't get to do that as a law enforcement officer. I can't stand when you bring facts to a motherfucker and the law and they just want to disregard that and talk some other shit that don't got nothing to do with what I said.
Establish a timeline from the initial shooting with the grandmother to the point where the shooter was killed. And also in between that. So we're trying to establish every single timeline as far as how long the shooter was inside the classroom, how long did the shooting take place. But as of right now, we have not been able to establish that. We want to provide factual information as opposed to just providing timelines that are preliminary. We estimate anywhere from 40 minutes to an hour. That was a statement that was made by our director of the Texas Department of Public Safety. But again, we're trying to establish, was that comprised of from the time of the initial shooting to where the suspect was killed, or was that from when the suspect arrived at the school? So again, a lot of information that we're trying to corroborate.
Hey, Mark, just like you didn't announce yourself when you got here, or if you did, you don't have to announce yourself when you leave. It's all right. Just click the X at the top. That's all you got to do.
So we can provide that actual information to the viewers and to everyone else, and also to the victims of the families.
And I do understand that. And all of my questions are just trying to provide the biggest, most complete picture to the families, to the country, as to what happened here. You say 40 to 60 minutes. There's some question about whether that's from when the shooter arrived or when he got into the classroom. It's still a long time. Why did it take as long as it did for the tactical team to go in?
Well, one thing to understand, too, that we know several officers were off duty and they still responded to the scene. Again, trying to establish exactly the timeline as far as the response time. We know that officers were on scene. As I mentioned earlier, we had the school resource officer that was initially on scene, still again trying to establish his role. We had secondary officers that arrived on scene that were actually met with gunfire upon entering the school. So we know law enforcement was there. There was an immediate presence from law enforcement. But again, trying to establish a timeline, we need to gather all those facts, working with FBI, trying to gather surveillance video, talking to witnesses. So again, right now, we do not have an accurate or a concrete timeline to provide to say the gunman was in the school for this period. So we want to provide that factual information once we're able to obtain that.
I do understand, but there was a period of time when the gunman was in the school and there were law enforcement officers on scene, and those law enforcement officers that were here during that period were not going in, correct?
Well, as I mentioned, there was 2 officers that did make entry when that shooter was making entry into that schoolway. So there was an immediate response. And right after that, we had a special response team that arrived, as I mentioned earlier, that was comprised of federal law enforcement officers, local police officers, a county deputy. They all made entry into that school. Then you had other officers that were trying to evacuate children and teachers by breaking windows around the school, trying to pull children and teachers from those windows, trying to evacuate them to preserve any further loss of life. So there was immediate response. But again, trying to establish exactly a timeline, we're still working on that right now.
And there's another lie. There was no immediate response to the active shooter. They got on site and literally had their hands in their pockets. Plain and simple. And Dwayne, if you want to find out what channel time is on, go to his all my links. That's all you got to do, bro. You can go to any of his previous shows, click on the description box, go to all my links, and you can actually get it. And you can find out where he's at, where he's broadcasting, or you can just go to his OnlyFans and you can sign up for him right there. That's how you keep up with him. Case closed.
That's all part of the investigation.
Understood. Again, what I was just trying to establish is between the time when those officers were first met with gunfire and then the attempt that did ultimately break down the door, what was the nature of that pause between those 2 periods? That's what I'm trying to get at there. And it is during that period that we are now hearing stories about parents who will.
Okay, here we go. Nasher says, I read the handbook, sir. The procedure was by the book. Read it. It's the book procedure for dealing with a hysterical resistance. So you can blame individual police if you want. It was the training. Hysterical resistance is different than active shooter training. This is the shit I'm talking about. I love the way people don't have the ability to argue. Boom. Matter of fact, I can't even find the definition for hysterical resistance. Show that definition, sir. Since you read the handbook, I just Googled that definition because I've never heard that term before, hysterical resistance. So I don't know what the fuck that means. I can tell you what active shooter training is. I can tell you what that is. I don't know what the fuck a hysterical resistance is, but I can definitely tell you what active shooter is. I do not see a definition for hysterical resistance. So what the fuck that's being classified as? I can promise you this. It's some new term and it ain't an active shooter. What do you want me to do? Just saying. You see how people would just pull shit out of their ass, pull shit out of the air, and just say some shit?
Arrived on the scene. The Washington Post spoke to Javier Casares, who is the father of Jacqueline Casares, who was killed here. And Javier told the Washington Post, he says, there were 5 or 6 of us fathers hearing the gunshots, and police officers were telling us to move back. We didn't care about us. We wanted to storm the building. We were saying,
oh, I see. Oh, he's saying, talking about Floyd.
How worried we
my
were,
God. Why do
and
y'all
we wanted to get our.
Why do y'all have to keep staying on that? It's just like how you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of how I'm not gonna even say it. I'm not gonna even say what it reminds me of. But all I'm saying is this. I don't understand why people find it. And for the most part, it's a lot of white people that do this. They want to justify that dude sitting on a person's chest and neck area to the point to where he was unresponsive. I don't understand why somebody is cool with that. The man was handcuffed. And I've asked, and this is the question I always ask, and nobody ever answers it. Nobody ever answers it. They will say what the policy is and the training was, and they were trained to do that. Yes, there have been plenty of tactical maneuvers. There are plenty of hand-to-hand combat tactics that you are taught in hand-to-hand combat training. They're countless. Not one of them, and I mean not one of them, tells you to continue doing one of those tactics while a person is laying on the ground handcuffed. The pressure point things that you can do, putting your fingers under a person's chin and all that, it is to get that person subdued and under arrest. There is nothing, and I mean nothing, that tells you to keep doing a particular move, a particular hold, or a particular type of restraining maneuver. And it tells you to keep doing it once a person is handcuffed. And you show me one fucking police officer that will say that, and I'll call him and you a fucking liar. Not one. And every time I get it, I've had this discussion, I always say that, and not one time has that ever been answered. Thank you, UFO. There isn't one. It's just like if I hit you with a taser and you fall out and you get the handcuffs put on you. Based on the training, I could tase him again. No, you can't. He's under arrest. Once the handcuffs are put on, click up, he's under arrest. If anything, I should be getting him into the vehicle. However, if I'm not able to lift this big ass nigga up, because he was a big motherfucker, fine. I don't need to sit on his chest and neck forever. That's bullshit. And you talking about somebody who's been on both sides. That's bullshit. You can say what you want to say. He followed training. Yeah, he did. He got him handcuffed. Tell me what person gets to do that once you're handcuffed. Show me where that happens. How often does it happen? How many times have you watched Cops? How many times have you watched Cops and seen a person get chased, jumped over trees, dove in the bushes and all that shit, jumped over several fences, fucked around with dogs and all that shit, and then once they get the handcuffs on them, they put them in a chokehold and just keep holding them, cutting off his wind? They don't do it. Once you are cuffed, the fight is over. I can cuff your legs if I need to. I can cuff your arms, whatever the case may be. I don't need to stand on your fucking chest and neck area for however long once I've handcuffed you. It is what it is. If you can't answer that, shut the fuck up about it, because nobody can answer that. You don't see people doing that. Jesus Christ. I'm sick of motherfuckers trying to defend some shit. He did the right thing at first, and once he got him cuffed, he should have backed off of him. But he didn't, because he hated the motherfucker, because he always kept dealing with him. Yeah, he could be a piece of shit. Yeah, he could be the scum of the earth. Yeah, he could be whatever the fuck you want to call him, but he don't get to motherfucking get a motherfucker on his chest for 8 minutes because he don't like him. And I'm so sick of you motherfuckers trying to lie and twist the shit to say, well, because of his past, he does deserve it. No, you don't. That's what the fuck America is about, you dipshits. Jesus Christ. Talk about everything else that this motherfucker did. Talked about everything else that was in this motherfucker system. Talked about all of the training tactics. Talked about everything that happened, except for the fact that you ain't never seen a motherfucker held like that or restrained like that for 8 minutes. The fuck out of here. That's bullshit. And I called that shit out even when fucking Steven Crowder fucking ass tried to reenact the fucking shit. Motherfucker, let me come do it. Fuck you and your boys out there fucking around. You and your boys playing grab ass dicking around. No, let me come do it. You motherfuckers can put on your costumes and make all kind of jokes and all that shit. Let me come and put my shit on your neck like he did, and let's see what the fuck you do. Fentanyl or whatever. I mean, goddamn, thank you. You can even tap out in a fucking MMA match. You fucking serious? A punch to the face is legal like a motherfucker in an MMA match until the motherfucker taps out or passes out. Do they keep letting them hit him then? No, it's a motherfucker in there to dive on their ass to break them up. But you don't want to talk about that though. Fuck out of here with that bullshit. Be fucking realistic and be fucking fair. Motherfuckers.
Babies out. So these fathers were willing to go in. Why were they stopped?
Right, I can tell you right now, as a father myself, I would want to go in too, but it's a volatile situation. You have an active shooter situation. We're trying to preserve any further loss of life. We cannot have, and as much as they want to, go into that school, we cannot have individuals go into that school, especially if they're not armed. So we also have officers that arrive on scene. There's so many different components involved in an active shooter situation. We have officers that arrive on scene trying to set up a perimeter, so we cannot have any other individuals try to go into that school. But I understand, and I completely understand, because I can tell you as a father myself, I would want to go into that school whether I was armed or not armed to save my child. But again, it's a very volatile situation. There's so many components involved, a lot of unanswered questions, and that's what we're trying to provide by doing a thorough investigation.
Well, you tell me this about your investigation, and you tell me how thorough you been when you dealing with this. Tell me how thorough you guys are being when you deal with this.
He's only in 4th grade, but this morning he's sharing his story of survival.
He was one of the children inside a Robb Elementary classroom in Texas when a gunman started shooting. His parents, they didn't want him to go on camera, but he wanted to talk about what he went through.
He shot our next person's door, and then we have a door in the middle, and he opened it, and then he came in and he crouched a little bit, and he said it's time to die. When I saw the bullets on the floor, it was real.
Exactly. They were there. They heard it. They were already there. Third Corner said, can a person, not law enforcement, enter an active crime scene? No, they cannot. They cannot. That is, no, you cannot do that. You can't even interfere with an active investigation for a law enforcement officer. So no, they cannot, to answer your question. They would be arrested for interfering with an active crime scene, interfering with a police officer's investigation, and I mean an active investigation. Yes, that is a crime. You cannot do that.
Wow. He and 4 others hid under a table with a tablecloth, hoping it protected them from the shooter's view. He says his teachers, Mrs. Irma Garcia and Mrs. Eva Marcellus, did everything they could to save them all.
They were nice teachers, and they went in front of my classmates to help to save them.
The student was not hurt, but most of his classmates are gone this morning. He said what made him feel better was hugging his family. Now, there are ways that you can help the families who's left.
Now, you're talking about a kid who's going through that while some officers outside are trying to assess what's going on. Shout out to my man Derek. Hit me with $10. Said another great show. Thank you, man. I'm trying, bro. That kid got his friend and did the only thing he could do, which was hide under a table, under a cloth, and play dead. That's all he could do. So all of the shit that people want to talk about, gathering all the information, that's the information that's happening right then and there. You have to remember that there are officers on the scene before any of these kids get shot. 2 officers have been shot already. So there are other officers en route and arriving in those moments. It's not a lapse in time to where these 2 officers arrive, they get shot by the shooter, and then there's nobody else around. There's not a time lapse like that. This is all in a matter of seconds and minutes. Now listen to this dude, and this is what really sent me over the motherfucking edge.
But don't current best practices, Lieutenant, call for officers to disable a shooter as quickly as possible, regardless of how many officers are actually on site?
Correct. The active shooter situation, you want to stop the killing, you want to preserve life, but also one thing that, of course, the American people need to understand is that officers are making entry into this building. They do not know where the gunman is. They are hearing gunshots. They are receiving gunshots. At that point, if they proceeded any further, not knowing where this suspect was at, they could have been shot. They could have been killed. And at that point, that gunman would have the opportunity to kill other people inside that school. So they were able to contain that gunman inside that classroom so that he was not able to go to any other portions of the school to commit any other killings.
Did you hear that piece of shit? The officers don't want to get shot. Shout out to my man David Williams. Hit your boy with $20. Says salute, love you, brother. Love you too, man. Thank you. He said the officers didn't want to get shot. And let me tell you something, and this is why I call those police officers fucking cowards. This is why I said what I said before. Every time you put on a vest, you put on your police officer shirt, you put on your gun belt, you get your badge and pin it on your shirt or got it around your neck, you go to work and you check on knowing and accepting the fact that this may be your last time you check on and you may not check off today. Every time you get in that car and you turn on that fucking siren and you go to that call, you know and you understand and accept the fact that this may be the call where you die. There is no, I don't want to get shot, being the police. You don't get that option. That's like a fucking fireman talking about, well, I didn't go in because I didn't want to get burned. That's your job, sir. You're putting your life on the line every day, every service call. That's what you're doing. And if any police officer can't accept that, please do us all a favor and turn in your badge and get the fuck off that force. I don't want to get shot. What do you think them 9 and 10-year-olds wanted to do today? 2 days, 3 days before they get out of school for good for the year. The fuck you think they wanted to do? You think they wanted to get shot? So you tell me what the fuck you think you should do. You don't want to get shot, and I'm quite sure there's a fucking classroom of 9 and 10-year-olds that don't want to get shot. They just want to watch their fucking movie for the day. The nerve of that fucking lieutenant to say that shit. Who the fuck has that mentality? I tell you who. A fucking coward does. I don't want to get shot. I don't want to get shot neither, motherfucker. But I'd be damned if I let somebody who don't even have a fucking weapon get shot. What the fuck kind of logic is that? The American people have to understand that they don't want to. Motherfucker, we pay you specifically to do that job. To where if there's some shooting going on, you gonna stop it, or you're gonna get shot trying to stop it. It's like, who the fuck does that? Yeah, I'm a fucking surgeon, but I don't want to see no blood. What? What? Yeah, I'm a fucking race car driver, but I don't want to drive fast. Yeah, I'm a fucking garbage man, but I don't want to take out the garbage. That shit stinks. Right, chef. Yeah, I'm a fucking chef, but I don't really like cooking too much, man. I mean, nah, it just ain't my thing. The mixing and the stirring. Fuck kind of police officer even has the fucking balls to say that? I don't want to get shot. You tell me what motherfuckers raising their hand to do it. Yeah, I'm going to join the Marines and I'm going to be deployed, but I don't want to get shot. So I'm just going to let Al-Qaeda have their way. Right, UFO. Yeah, I'm a lifeguard, but I don't want to get my hair wet. I'm a football player. I don't want to get tackled. I'm a basketball player, but I really don't like that running up and down the court thing, man. It's just, I'd be too tired. I'm a pinch runner for the fucking White Sox, but I don't want to run. Hurts my feet. Yeah, I'm a teacher, but I really don't like teaching. I just don't want to get in front. I don't want to deal with no kids. Asking questions and don't know how to do shit. Yeah, I don't want to teach them that. It's like, who the fuck does that? Yeah, I'm a crane operator, but I don't like heights. The fuck kind of shit is that? That's insane. There's no way you can even say that with any type of fucking confidence and think that you ain't gonna get your ass shredded for doing it. What kind of shit is that?
The decision to have officers wait for backup and a SWAT team as gunshots echoed inside Robb Elementary in Uvalde Tuesday was the wrong decision and possibly a dead one. Hello, I'm Steve Eager. That was the shocking confession we heard today from the director of the Texas Department of Public Safety. And that decision to wait was made by the Uvalde School District's chief of police, the on-scene commander. 21 people were killed, 19 children, 17 others were hurt. Fox 4's Sean Rabb listened in on a morning news conference that finally gave us a much more accurate but much more disturbing truth about what actually happened and what didn't. Sean.
Yeah, kind of disturbing things that were learned today. Listen, there were 19 police officers in the hallway, and they were waiting at the ready, but they could not move forward because of the command that they had been given. The command to wait for other equipment, wait for backup, wait for SWAT, a wait that cost precious time, and a wait that the DPS director emotionally said was the wrong call.
He don't want to say it. It costs lives. It costs lives. I could not. I don't give a fuck who my commanding officer was. There's no way possible I could stand in a hallway listening to what the fuck is going on, knowing what the fuck is happening, and not go in that fucking room. You couldn't pay me to wait in that hallway. You couldn't beg me to wait in that hallway with 19 other motherfucking police officers. Or 18 other police officers. Like I said, even in the military, there are times when orders that are given can be broken. Just like this time. If there was ever a time for you to break ranks, break command, not follow a direct order, don't follow this order, this is when you do it. I don't give a fuck what somebody says. You ain't gonna justify this one. One person making a call, I get it. Chain of command, absolutely. But, and I say this all the time, when you look at the totality of the circumstances and what is at stake, you could clearly justify breaking this command. You could not only not follow these orders, but you could justify it. Why did you go in, Officer Redmond? I went in because the shooter was still in there with those children. But it was a hostage situation. No, sir, that is not correct. It was an active shooter situation. I didn't know if this guy was in here reloading. I didn't know if he stopped and was getting ready to detonate a bomb. I didn't know if he switched from a gun to a fucking knife or to a fucking machete. I did not know. All I knew is that the shooter was still in that classroom with a bunch of fucking children. I'd go every time and twice on Sundays, you motherfucker. There ain't no stand down when you in the hallway listening to what the fuck is happening and know what the fuck is in that room. Your job is to put that motherfucker down. If he surrenders, great. But you putting him down is the fucking mission. And the only thing that's going to stop him from not getting put down is hands up. That's it. That's how that active shooter in Buffalo survived. He went hands up.
The newest timeline of the tragedy at Robb Elementary begins at 11:37 a.m. A teacher propping the west side door open, likely unaware that she's about to allow evil into the school. A minute later, Salvador Ramos crashes his grandmother's truck into...
She let evil into the school. Why? Because I needed to go get my phone. I wanted to go get a phone so I can, instead of me being in there with my kids while they watching the movie, I want to be in there on my cell phone, on my Facebook, on my Instagram. I want to be able to tweet to say 2 more days of school before I go on vacation. I want to be able to tweet while my kids is watching Vivo. I want to be able to send my tweets. I want to be able to look at what's going on IG. She didn't just open the door, Samantha. She opened the door and propped it open so that the fucking shooter had no resistance and was able to just walk right in. A door that locks, a door that can't be opened from the outside because it's locked, is the very door that she propped open. I wonder why that door is locked from the outside. Maybe so that people who shouldn't be in the school can't get in. How about that?
A culvert at the edge of school property. 2 witnesses at the funeral home across the street rushed to help.
Philly boy DC said you wouldn't have gone in there, sir. Stop it. I hope you wasn't talking to me. I hope you wasn't talking to me. I really hope that that wasn't directed at me.
A man with a gun exit the passenger side with a backpack, and they immediately began running. Ramos began shooting at him.
11:30. The first 911 call comes from the school, the same teacher who propped the door open, alerting about the crash and a man with a gun. 1 minute later, Ramos is in the school parking lot and shooting at the campus. Initial reports said a school resource officer confronted the 18-year-old at the back of the school. Thursday, we learned that was not correct. And now we know the assigned resource officer was not on campus, but was in his cruiser.
Boom! There it is.
Bing bang.
There it is. And I'm telling you like this. I don't understand why in the fuck would you have a school resource officer that's not in the school? For whatever reason. He's working a murder case. He's going to help another officer. The purpose of a school resource officer is to be at the school when the kids are at the school. Why would he not be at this on campus? I mean, I'm just telling you, why would he not be there? And if y'all get limited resources like that, then goddamn it, that's not a school resource officer. That's just a police officer who stopped by every now and again. That's just what it is. That's like having an emergency room surgeon that's only in the hospital a few hours throughout the day. Like an emergency can't happen whenever? Who does that?
But had heard the 911 call with a man with a gun, drove immediately to the area, sped to what he thought was the man with a gun, to the back of the school, what turned out to be a teacher, and not the suspect. In doing so, he drove right by the suspect, who was hunkered down behind a vehicle, where he began shooting at the school.
11.
Again, had that teacher had not went out to go get their phone and left that door open, that police officer wouldn't have been in that situation, even though he responded late. He still would have not been able to get access to the school from that door. Do you see how just the simplest of things could have changed the whole course of this whole shit, this whole fucking scenario? Simple policy, simple protocol, simple fucking rule to follow. keep these doors locked at all times. Just saying.
33, Ramos is inside the building. DPS showing a diagram of his movements before shooting into connected classrooms 111 and 112. A surviving student telling one network the shooter entered the room as her teacher was about to lock the door.
That he shot more than 100 rounds based on the audio evidence at that time.
11:35, 3 Uvalde City Police come through the same propped open door Ramos entered. 3 other local officers and a sheriff's deputy follow them.
That lets you know he had entered. The school resource officer then had supposedly not school resource, but the resource officer got into it with this guy at some point, I guess. Based on this, 100 rounds have been shot, which can go fairly quickly. I will say that. But then this guy's now in the school. What purpose would you have to wait? What purpose and what reason would you wait? That's just it. That's my whole point to this. There was no reason to wait. So Philly boy, awful situation. Why play the blame game though? It's not simple. Always holes in laws, security. That's why you have the rules of engagement, sir. That's why you have active shooter training. Because the whole thing of it being an awful situation, that's what happened with Columbine. We didn't know. And we learned from Columbine that you don't wait. You go. And you keep going until he stops. That's it. That's why the rule is there. The rule is in place, not because somebody just had an epiphany one day. It came from experience. We don't stop. We like motherfucking Diddy. Can't stop, won't stop. Take that until he's down. My partner go down, I keep going. I go down, the next one keep going. That's it. That's the training. That's the rule. That's the policy. Ain't no loopholes in that.
The first 3 officers go to the closed classroom door as 2 are grazed by gunfire. Shooting continues for many minutes. 12:03, a 911 call from inside the adjoining classrooms.
She identified herself and whispered she's in room 112.
At that time, 19 officers were in the hallway outside rooms 111 and 112, but officers did not go forward.
There was plenty of officers to do whatever needed to be done, with one exception, is that the incident commander inside believed they needed more equipment and more officers to do a tactical breach.
Why? Why am I going to do a tactical breach when it's how many kids in this classroom? Now, if it's just him by himself, yeah, I get it. Him and another bad guy, they bunkered in, they hunkering down. Yeah, I get it. But not when there's kids in there. My man was a coward. He didn't want to go. I would have said we hit that door and we're going to keep hitting that door until either we kill him or he kills all of us. Because we got guns. Them kids don't. We got guns. Them teachers don't. We going. That's it. I'm not holding back a goddamn thing. I'm going to throw everything I got at this motherfucker. But this is going to happen. It's this many in it. We don't know what's going on. It's just like in fucking 300. Our arrows will blot out the sun. Well, you know what? Then we going to fight in the shade, bitch. We not going to stop.
Still more 911 calls coming from inside those classrooms.
At 12:10, she called back. In room 12, advised there were multiple dead. 12:13, again she called on the phone. Again at 12:16, she called back and said there was 8 to 9 students alive.
12:21, a child calls for help. The operator tells her, stay on the line and be quiet. 3 gunshots are heard in the audio. Still, officers don't go forward. McCraw tries to explain to the media and families listening.
Again, you know, the on-scene commander considered a barricaded subject and that there was time and
Barricaded subject with how many people in there? He's already shown you that he has no regard for life. He shot his grandmother in the face, which they know. He shot at least 2 officers already. And they already have known that there are several children dead already. Why am I stopping? What am I waiting for? A better tactical unit? A ballistic shield? That's why you got a vest, man.
there were no more children at risk. Obviously, you know, based upon the information we have, there were children in that classroom that were at risk, and it was, in fact, still an active shooter situation.
Minutes later, the little girl pleads with 911 for help.
It's still an active shooter situation. What the fuck are we talking about here? And please click that like button while y'all watching this. What are we talking about here? It's still an active shooter situation. There's nothing to say otherwise. There's nothing to say, well, you know, we could not, you know, maybe we might just be a terrorist in there just trying to barricade. It's kids in that classroom. There are people in that classroom. I'm not gonna stop. We gonna shoot every bullet we got. Well, he shot one of us at the door. Who's up next, motherfucker? Fuck you talking about? Are there windows that we can go on now? We got 19 of us in this hallway. You think we can maybe send 5 people outside on the other side of the windows? See if they can get a shot off? Let's pin this motherfucker down and keep shooting until this motherfucker runs out of ammo and we kill him. Or we kill him. What the fuck? We're not gonna let him have his way with these kids. Come on.
Approximately 12:43 and 12:47, she asked 911 to please send the police now.
Were the officers outside the doors aware of the 911 calls from within? DPS Director McCraw unable to answer that.
Yes. If those motherfuckers had radios, let me tell y'all this, it's another fucking truth and another fucking fact. Shout out to Amanda, hit your boy with $20. Thank you so much. Let me tell you another fact. If an officer has a radio, they are in this situation and they've responded to this call, and the other motherfuckers who on their way to this call, they can hear dispatch. Dispatch is literally relaying the information as to what is happening each moment, play by fucking play. They are literally telling them what's happening. So yes, to everybody that got a fucking radio, got an earpiece in, yes, they know what's going on. And with those people calling in, they're telling them what's happening. 911 dispatch is listening to what's happening and relaying that information.
Directly, but also admitting.
Hey, from the benefit of hindsight, where I'm sitting now, of course it was not the right decision. It was the wrong decision, period. There's no excuse for that. But again, I wasn't there, but I'm just telling you, from what we know, We believe there should have been an entry at that as soon as you can.
12:50, the Border Patrol SWAT team arrives.
What we waiting on these motherfuckers for? And the reason why that dude just said what he said, you make entry as soon as possible. There is no waiting. You go in the door. You go up there and you get to shooting and the other one get to hitting the door. You ram the door. You get one of those, they should have somebody that should have a crowbar or a battering ram. Whichever way, if that door swings, if the door opens in, you can take a battering ram, boom, hit that door, get out the way, and y'all just shoot it out with this motherfucker. If the door opens out, you have the those firemen crowbars, or you get a crowbar and you pry that door. Trust and believe that door comes apart quick as hell with the right type of crowbar. You hit that motherfucker, boom, it's in. You in there. That's just what you do.
They get access to the area almost 80 minutes after the shooting started, using the janitor's keys to unlock the door. 12:51 South.
Was that the back door?
80 minutes after the shooting started, using.
I wonder if that was the back door that he went into.
The janitor's keys to unlock the door. 12:51 Salvador Ramos is killed. An anguished and angry McCraw saying what happened in Uvalde goes against the state's active shooter training and certification.
That doctrine requires officers, we don't care what agency you're from, you don't have to have a leader on the scene. Every officer lines up, stacks up, goes and finds where those rounds are being fired at and keeps shooting until the subject is dead.
I swear to God, my right hand to God, I swear to y'all, this is the first time I've watched this far. I saw literally like the first 2 to 4 minutes of this, and I have not seen this part. The part about the door, I haven't seen it. All that shit before, to where the only part that I saw in the clip was him saying, yeah, in hindsight, what they did was make the wrong call. That's why I said I want this video. I have not seen this video, and y'all tell me if I'm lying or not. Did he not just say the exact same thing I said at the beginning of the show? I'm telling you, it's the same playbook. It's the same fucking playbook. What up, Thick Cut? I need you, man. Email your boy. But I'm just telling you right now, I said it at the beginning. Tell me if I'm lying. Stop me if I'm lying. I have not seen this. And that dude just said the exact same shit I said. I know what the fuck I know, man. I know what I know. That's how it goes. That's the playbook. That is the fucking playbook right there. There is no, well, you go, it's a terrorist situation. No, motherfucker. Your ass didn't follow the playbook, and because you didn't, more motherfuckers died. That's exactly what I was trained to do. That's exactly what I learned. That's exactly what my daddy told me how we do shit. Told me the same goddamn shit.
Period.
But of course, we know that did not happen. We did not see or hear the Uvalde School District Chief of Police today. This case going to be a case study for law enforcement for the years to come. And this poignant footnote, Steve, there were 19 law enforcement officers in the hallway.
And here's another thing. Let me break this down. Every year, well, twice a year, and as a sheriff, you have to fucking qualify. You do a gun, you go and shoot a gun course to qualify with your firearm. All right. And the first one is usually the target shit where you do, you go in and you do the, hey, it's usually the quicker one where you go, shoot 2, go back, shoot 2 more, excuse me, go behind a little barricade, go behind cover, shoot 2 more, reload. You do all of that. But then what we did out at Allegan, we had a course that we would shoot as well. So you would go qualify with your weapon, then you go take your punk ass and you shoot a course. You would go shoot that course. And the course would always be different. Like one year, because it's an outdoor range. So you would have the weather, it would be cold, it would be raining, or it could be hot than a motherfucker. We do one like around the springtime, and then we do one right before winter hit. So it'll be cold at one, and the other one it might be rainy, or it might be rainy and cold at the other, because it rain all the goddamn time in Michigan. They got weather like fucking like they in fucking Ireland or something. Or Greenland, whatever the fuck it is, where it's always a forecast and always raining or cold or whatever. But you would go and you would shoot this course. One of the courses that they had one time was like a grocery store setup where you went in, they built a fucking structure, a little small structure, and they put like aisles in the grocery store and shit like that. And they had you go in, it was all dark, so you had to use your light and you had to go through that grocery store. That's going to a fucking grocery store or breaking it in or in some shit like that late at night and you can't see. Another course that we had one time was we had what we called a classroom. Your ass had to go, you had to go and do you had to do push-ups, and then you had to do, it was push-ups, sit-ups, no, it was jumping jacks, push-ups, then you got up, and then you had to go with your handgun, and you had to go into what they called a classroom. And what they had was targets, white targets, and they had some bigger, like bigger size targets as well. And those were they had like red X's on those. That was a hostage situation with kids. So if you had it was like three or four different three or four different adult targets amongst a bunch of kid targets. But you didn't see any of that. You literally did this one, came up, did your exercise, jumping jacks, got your heart rate and shit going, and then you had to run around the corner and you had to go shoot that course, and they timed you. And you did that so you could shoot in that exact same situation where if you go in the classroom and there's a dude standing there with a bunch of kids, you would see it and know what to do. You don't stop and say, hold on, man, we can't. Nope, you go. Boom, 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 boom. That's what you did. I shot it with my handgun and I shot it with my rifle. That's what we did. So that's how you train. Now, I don't know if every police department does that, but I damn sure know that we did in Michigan. Yeah, I lived in Holland, Michigan for 7.5 years. Not you.
19 children in those 2 classrooms who lost their lives.
A couple questions, a little background maybe, Sean. How does the incident commander, in this case, the school district chief, become the incident commander on a scene like that?
Yeah, so this whole incident command structure is in place. Mm-hmm. It's taught universally. The commander is the highest ranking officer in a jurisdiction. So the chief was on scene at a school in his district. He became the incident commander. He could pass that off to someone at a higher rank than he, a federal agent, perhaps a state agent, but he didn't do that at this time, and they may not have been on scene.
Even the Uvalde police chief, I assume. So do we know if school district chief Pete Arredondo knew what DPS director McCraw just a few seconds ago referred to as doctrine, that you do not wait, you go in and engage?
I don't know for certain. I would say highly likely.
You dropped the bomb.
It's been taught nationwide for years. In fact, it was created right here in Texas, at Texas State, down in San Marcos. It's called ALERT, and that is the law enforcement rapid response training. Every department has it. It's universal in that sense, so that if there are officers from different agencies working together, they all know what to do.
Tell me I don't know what the fuck I know. Tell me I don't know what the fuck I know. Everybody does the same playbook, dude. Tell me I don't know what I don't know. And you ain't wrong. I was going to drop this at the end of the last video to add injury to insult, or insult to injury. Which one is it? I don't know. Correct me, please. To add injury to insult. I think that's what it was. Or to add insult to injury. They actually trained in that school several weeks back. You ain't wrong is actually right. Insult to injury. Thank you, Colin. They trained in that school a few weeks ago. You won't hear them mention that shit too often. But it has been said several times. They trained in that school a few weeks ago. And I'm telling you like this. Those guys should have said something like, wait a minute, Commander. This ain't the training. Hang on, Captain. This ain't the training. Chief, this is not the training. Them babies in there. Yes. I'm telling you, they did it. They do it in schools. That's why I said it in the beginning. For those of you who weren't here at the beginning of the show, you can go back and rewind it to confirm and see if I'm fucking lying or not. Every year, everybody sends their officers that are responsible for this training to do this training for updates. They go and get updates of, hey, this is what we're doing now. This is what we're doing that's different. We found a better way to do this. They do that. And then they go back to their departments and they teach back the shit. And they did the same thing when I was there. And we actually take over. And what they do is in Michigan, we go around to different schools in your county or wherever you department that you in. You go around to the different schools in your area that you serve in, that's in your jurisdiction. Why? So you can be familiar with the school and you can be familiar with the scenario to know what happens. So when you walk into a school and you're actually doing an active shooter situation and you've trained there, you're kind of more familiar with the environment and the surroundings. You know how the school is laid out. You have an idea of how the school is set up. And that's what they told us. Yeah, we go to different schools. Each time we do a training, we try to do it at a different school so that we can all get familiar with these schools. Schools don't have a problem with you doing it. They want you to do the shit. I'm telling you, man, that commander fucked everybody in that whole situation. He needs to lose his fucking job. I'm sorry, dude. For that amount of life that's lost, he needs to lose his job, bro. I'm just telling you.
And how to do it. This was a decision based on whether he thought there was still an active shooter or not inside those two classrooms.
Right.
And there is no, I thought there was an active shooter or not. Once there's an active shooter, there isn't always an active shooter until that active shooter is dead. Or he's in custody. One or the other. Either he surrenders or he's dead. That's when the situation changed from there not being an active shooter anymore. It's still an active shooter situation. It's technically, correct me if I'm wrong, it's technically an active shooter situation until the entire building has been cleared. Because even after you shot that guy, you still got to stack up and you got to go into every room and clear each and every room. Somebody tell me if I'm wrong. It's still an active shooter situation until that building has been given an official clear. Then it becomes an ordinary crime scene. You cannot say that active shooter is over. The active shooter situation has been, nope. You can say one person has been neutralized, but we still got an active shooter until we've cleared every fucking room in that entire fucking building. Because you don't know how many people are there. Well, they say they saw one person. I won't know that for sure until I've touched every motherfucking room and cleared it.
School district police officers are likely the first to get that training as well, since they're out of school. All right, Sean, thank you.
That's exactly what this shit is. And that's why I don't understand how this commander thought he had a choice to change the status of this situation from an active shooter to a terrorist barricade or hostage barricade. The fuck are you talking about?
Now to the latest on the Texas school tragedy. In addition to the immense grief, there's growing anger over the police response in Uvalde. 19 students and 2 teachers were killed in the shooting. CBS 2's Allie Bauman is in the newsroom with an update on the timeline investigators revealed today. Allie.
Well, Dick, the governor of Texas says he is livid that law enforcement gave him bad information about the timeline and details of this shooting. The gunman was killed by law enforcement an hour and 20 minutes after the initial 911 call. Tonight, we have learned that the police officer in charge at the scene ordered law enforcement not to enter the classroom for nearly an hour as school children were trapped inside by the gunman and calling 911, pleading for help.
It was very terrifying because I never thought that was going to happen.
10-year-old Jaden Perez says he and his friends hid near backpacks Tuesday when the gunman shot through his window at Robb Elementary School. Police eventually helped Jaden escape, but not before the shooter killed his friends, 19 children and 2 adults.
They said they rushed in and all that. We didn't see that.
Today, the head of the Texas...
And they didn't. Them lying motherfuckers. They did not rush in. And here's my thing about that kid. You can call that kid a hero. You can call that kid tough. You can call that kid courageous. But I'm telling you right now, that kid will never be the same. We talk about how this has changed America, how this has rocked America, it's brought that town of Uvalde down to its knees, and the people there are just devastated. Let me tell you something. Me, at 48 years old, I can clearly remember my 4th grade class. I can clearly remember being in 4th grade. My teacher name was Miss Hare. Clearly remember it. Went to Ralph H. Metcalf Magnet School. We were on the 2nd floor, and I want to say the room number was, I want to say it was 204. Yep, it was. And it was red. Because 202 was the yellow room right next door to us. Room 204. To imagine not only a shooter being in your classroom, but to remember and to never be able to forget your friends dying in your classroom. Seeing your friends be murdered one by one. Shot in the head, the chest, the back, wherever. You will never forget it. That kid won't forget the smell of the gunpowder. That kid will not forget the sound of the flesh, the blood, the smell of blood, the piss and shit smell that happens from people dying, people getting wounded by bullets and riddled with bullets. He'll never get the sight, the sound, or the smell out of his mind. He will have to live with that forever. His friends dying will be with him forever. He will have nightmares. He will be afraid. He will have PTSD. He will wake up and have I already said you have nightmares. He will never forget. He will never forget it. And maybe this will it strike a chord with him to where he becomes a police officer one day to make sure that something like that will never happen in his community. But I tell you this, there's not a kid on this earth that deserves to have that type of memory and to have that much loss of life and death to be brought upon him in this world because of a piece of a shit human being and a dumbass fucking commander who held back the very forces that are supposed to address and stop and neutralize a threat like that. How about that? How about that? You think about that for that kid. Yes, the screams, the crying, the sounds of that gun going off, the loud, just ear-piercing bangs. Because that dude didn't have no suppressor on that gun. Wasn't no light pops. Over 147 fucking rounds went off.
Department of Public Safety admitted it took officers so long to stop the gunman because the commander on scene wrongfully thought there were no more children at risk.
Of course it was not the right decision. It was the wrong decision, period. There's no excuse for that.
He went through the timeline today. 11:27 a.m. a door was propped open by a teacher. 1 minute later, the suspect's truck crashed into a ditch, catching the attention of two people at a nearby funeral home.
See that gun right there? There's no suppressor on that gun. There's no suppressor on that gun. And if anybody has ever seen the damage, the wound cavity damage of what a 223 5.56 bullet does to just some ballistic gel, you can look that up on YouTube. Imagine what it did to a 9-year-old body. That's why I would not have waited. That's why I would have broken ranks and broke command. That's why if I was there, they would have had to shoot me. They would have had to shoot me to keep me from going in. That's why. I know what them bullets do. I know the type of wound cavity damage that those bullets do. It wasn't an automatic. You can't buy an automatic rifle, man. And that kid was too much of a dumbass to know how to get a sear to change that to 3 bursts or the full auto. He didn't do that. They would have said that if he did. He had 2 rifles. Here's the question. He went and bought them at a gun store, right? Yep. He was legal, was able to get them. Where'd he get the money from? Y'all know how much a Daniel Defense AR-15 costs, if that was one? I don't think that's a Daniel. That ain't no Daniel Defense that's right there in that picture. That's some other shit. But they said one of them was a Daniel Defense. Y'all know how much a gun like that costs? That's at minimum a $1,700 gun, $1,800 gun. That's just basically bare bones out the box. Nothing else with it. $1,700, $1,800. It's considered a high-end AR. Thank you. $1,800, $2,000. And yes, Colin, that's stock. That's out the box. That ain't nothing added to it. My brother Easy got one. Now, he got a lot more shit on it, but out the box, that's what that motherfucker costs. Bare bones. The ammo, they said this motherfucker had, at one time he had bought 375 rounds, but they said he had over 1,000 rounds or about 1,000 rounds of ammo, whatever the fuck he had.
Who went over and the gunman began firing at them. 11:30 a.m. a 911 call was made about a man with a gun. The school resource officer, who was not on campus at the time, drove back.
Sped to what he thought was the man with a gun to the back of the school, what turned out to be a teacher and not the suspect. In doing so, he drove right by the suspect, who was hunkered down behind a vehicle, where he began shooting.
The gunman entered the school and closed the door. 3 responding officers were grazed by bullets. We're told 19 responding officers waited in the school hallway for more than...
And look at all these motherfuckers out here with these long rifles. Damn, I didn't try to do that.
Now to the latest on the Texas school.
911 pleading for help.
The information that...
The gunman entered the school and closed the door. 3 responding officers were grazed by bullets. We're told 19 responding officers waited in the school hallway for more than 45 minutes as children trapped inside their classrooms called 911 pleading for help.
The information that I was given turned out in part to be inaccurate, and I'm absolutely livid about that.
Governor Greg Abbott says he was misled about the police response and is promising a thorough investigation.
Bottom line would be, why did they not choose the strategy that would have been best to get in there and to eliminate the killer and to rescue the children?
And today, those 19 students should have been starting their summer break. The governor says an anonymous donor has given $175,000 to pay for all of the victims' funerals. In the newsroom, Allie Bauman, CBS 2.
Basically, what he's saying is, why didn't they follow the training that everybody follows? That's just what it is. Let's ask the fucking question that needs to be asked. Why did you not follow the training everybody has? For what reason would you veer away from that? Why would you not follow the training? I have no fucking idea. It's an active shooter, dude. What the fuck are you talking about? Well, it's a terrorist barricade now. No, it's an active shooter. You got 19 officers, a fucking small militia, a fucking small army in the hallway going up against one person, and you gonna fucking wait? For what? Stand down for what? Stand down for what? Makes no goddamn sense whatsoever. You train just for this. The training is universal, so everybody does the same thing. Why veer off of that? Why veer away from that? Makes no fucking sense, man. I can't remember what this last video was. Let me see what this is.
This is an ABC News special report.
I think this like kind of.
I'm with Johnson in New York, and we are coming on the air because authorities are about to hold a briefing on the deadly elementary school shooting in Uvalde.
This is pretty much the same thing. Yeah, we're coming up on 2.5 hours, so I'll end it here. But did anybody have any questions? Let's see. Star Manis says, I was a cop in the time of Columbine. After that, our sheriff made a policy. If you have 3 cops, you go in no matter what. These motherfuckers got lazy out there in Mayberry, Texas. Star Manis also said he's on the United Guns of America chat. He says, we had to clear real office buildings too. You are dead right about the training, Brian. Thank you. We do it like that in Florida too. Like you said, not sure about other states. And I'm telling you, just like you said, it's the same thing everywhere. Same thing everywhere. And I'm telling you like this, they did have it to, they may have had it to where that policy was 3 people and you go, but they changed that shit after Columbine, and we were trained, hey man, if you hear bangs, if there is shooting going on, you going. Ain't no waiting. Ain't no, hey, you report to dispatch. I'm entering the building on whatever door. Woo wop the bam. Redmond is inside the building. Mike asks a good question. He says, why does this only happen in America, in America, United States, or why does this only happen here? here's the thing. Number one, America was born with guns. America came about because of guns. From the times when the Native Americans were being literally exterminated on this land, in this country, and their land was being taken and then being divvied up, it was done with guns. Guns is a part of America. It's a part of our culture. It's a part of our history. It's not going to ever, there's nothing that's going to change that. There is no way possible, and just accept the reality of this, there's no way possible to get rid of the guns here in America. It's too many of them. We have the most guns in the world. There's no other country that has as many guns as we have here in America. The other part to that is this. You have to realize that because we have so many guns, the only thing that you can do to stop the bad guys with the guns is to have good guys with guns. The other part to that is this. If you believe that people not having guns would be the solution to this, you're a fool. Because if, let's just say, if someone had the Infinity Gauntlet and Thanos all the guns, you know what you would have? Mass stabbings, like you do over in France, like you do over in China. Bad people do bad things. Evil people do evil things. That kid had been saying he was going to do what he did for years, for months, and for days. Problem was, nobody thought to believe him. There's an active shooter right now planning the next one. You cannot stop it. Just like you cannot stop war in the world. There's always going to be a war against someone, some other country, some other group. It's never going to stop. That's a fact. There's no such thing as world peace. Someone will always be in a war with someone else. That is why the best thing to do is to have an armed society. I can't think of the guy's name who said it, but an armed society is a polite society. Somebody said his name the other day too. I think his name was Michael something. All of this talk about we need to get rid of the Second Amendment. We need to repeal the Second Amendment. Let me tell you something. You can make a law today banning all firearms in America. And you know what's going to happen? The bad guys are going to have a field day because criminals do not obey laws. This ain't a law thing. This is a people thing. This is a people thing. That's what this is. The other reason why we have guns and why the Second Amendment is so important is because we are able to do this right now, what you see here, freedom of speech, being able to say what you want to say, getting online and doing all this shit, talking about this shit, me being able to do this because of our freedoms that we have, and we established them with guns. And that's why they want us to always have guns, because our government, if we didn't, thank you, Robert A. Heinlein. Thank you, John. If we didn't have guns, our government would have us quiet and they would have us fucking muzzled, just like they do over in North Korea, just like they do over in Australia, just like they do over in any other fucking country but this. We are the most outspoken country in the fucking world. How many motherfuckers got YouTube channels like this over in England? How many motherfuckers got YouTube channels like this over in Korea? How many motherfuckers got YouTube channels like this saying what the fuck they want to say how many motherfuckers got this over in the fucking Congo, over in fucking Nigeria, over in any other fucking country you want to name? So to all you assholes that want to try to make it seem like it's better everywhere else, you're a fucking fool. You just don't hear about it and you don't see it because their government is in complete control of the people. That's why you got motherfuckers over in fucking France protesting. That's why you got motherfuckers up in fucking Canada protesting, because they don't have the freedoms that we have, because they don't have the guns that we got. The other point to this is, as to why this happens over here in America like it does, is because we have refused and have turned our back on providing mental health resources for our own people. Our own fucking war veterans don't have enough fucking mental health resources and just resources in general to help them. And they go over to other countries and kill people for our country, and they still don't have it. Answer me this. How was this kid still able to post on Instagram, to post on Facebook, and have all these conversations about doing all this fuck shit, and he wasn't banned? He wasn't flagged. He wasn't put in Facebook jail. How is that? But if a motherfucker mentioned COVID-19 in a fucking video, it got shut down and you got a strike. We have United States military veterans that don't have a fucking home and are sleeping on the side of the streets, sleeping under expressways and highways and byways. They're sleeping there because they cannot function in society because they are fucking shell-shocked. They got PTSD. They have all type of mental and physical disabilities, and we do nothing for them. How is that? But we can send $40 billion over to Ukraine. We can send $20 billion to Pakistan for fucking transgender research in Pakistan. I'm just telling you what I know. Don't you for one second think that a law or the repealing of the fucking Second Amendment will stop this. Because I'm telling you, ain't no difference in an illegal gun and one that's store-bought. I can promise you that. I've seen them both. They shoot the same way. They use the same bullets. So you basically are saying you want to keep me from being able to own a firearm while somebody who's going to do this same type of fuck shit will get one illegally? That's essentially what you're trying to tell me. And it makes no fucking sense. It's stupid. Just like I said the other day, cocaine is illegal in America. How many people you know that can go get an eighth of coke, a half a key of coke, a quarter pound of coke? Or how many people you know that can get their hands on some cocaine? Some crack rock. It's illegal here. So is heroin. People are still heroin addicts here, aren't they? It's bullshit. Laws are only for law-abiding citizens. There's no reason to make a law for a law-abiding citizen to not be able to protect him or herself. Or you get to tell them what weapon they get to use to protect him or herself. Stupid. So I don't want to hear shit about some fucking asshole talking about we need better gun laws. We need a gun registry. A registry ain't shit. They got universal background checks now. A gun registry ain't shit but a fucking gateway to a fucking good old-fashioned gun confiscation. You don't believe me? Ask fucking Hitler. That's how the fuck he did it. You don't believe me? Ask Venezuela. That's how they fucking did it. You don't believe me? Ask Australia. That's how they fucking did it. And each and every last one of those countries all fucking regretted it. You ask the natural regular citizens of Australia, they'll tell you we should have never gave up our guns because now we got these fucking criminals kicking in our fucking doors, waving they 4-4s. Illegal like a motherfucker, but yet and still they're victims. You ask the fucking the citizens of Venezuela if they should have gave up their guns when they were getting shot by their own military because they were protesting that the fucking government mismanaged the funds and the country is now broke. One of the top fucking exporters of fucking oil in the world. Fucking entire fucking communities, entire fucking cities, and all of the majority of their population are literally eating from the garbage. Because the politicians, the motherfuckers who are in charge, are in control of all of the resources and all of the money. And they're living high on the hog, and they're doing what the fuck they want to do while everyone else starves and suffers. Good old-fashioned socialism, that's what it gets you. Good old-fashioned communism, that's what it gets you. The only way you're going to stop this is to put guns in the hands of good people in all of these fucking areas where you can't have them. Your fucking schools, your libraries, your hospitals, whatever the case may be. Because all of these fucking active shooters, they're going to go where the people who don't have guns are. That's what they're going to do. If there were no guns here in America, you know what? And I'll end it with this. If there were no guns here in America, there would be no America. England would have came and took this motherfucker over, and this shit would be called newer England. That's what it is. That's what would have happened if the founders would have put down their guns. That's what would have happened if they would have, if the Minutemen would have put down their guns when the British were coming. If Paul Revere would have had a horse and some hands, we'd have lost, and that'd have been it. We'd have got our ass kicked, and fucking the fucking British would have been over here running shit just like they running shit over there. We'd all be talking hail to the Queen and all that other bullshit. And I'm not saying everybody needs to carry a gun, but everybody that can should. Take your ass to a training class, learn how to use it, learn how to treat it with respect and be safe, and use it as a tool. And I hope that that commander gets brought up on some kind of charges and loses his job. He should. He made the wrong goddamn call and was trained to do otherwise. You want to stop this? Get some mental health resources in your areas. Get some mental resource help some mental resources available instead of what fucking Reagan did, closing them all in the fucking late 80s. In the 80s, the early 80s and the 90s, closing them all. You should have had them open. We wrote these fucking big dumbass fucking high spending fucking bills. Somebody should have put in there, let's open up all the crazy houses again so these people that are mentally challenged can have some place to go and can get some kind of help. You can listen to all this bullshit these networks are talking. You can listen to all this bullshit CNN is talking. Listen to all this bullshit Whoopi Goldberg and fucking Beto is talking. It's all stupid shit to only hurt law-abiding citizens, just like inflation does. Just like this recession that's coming will. I hope that this video helps somebody become a better version of themselves. I hope that people can get a better understanding of this situation, why it happened, and the fact that it didn't have to happen the way that it did. And I'm going to say this. This is another thing. When you're talking about firearm safety and all that kind of stuff, hear this. I believe it's in Germany or it's in Switzerland or some other country. I can't remember which one it is. But in some countries, everybody, and I mean everybody, at the age of 18 has to go and serve 2 years in their military of their country. That's where they would learn firearm safety. That's where you can find out if somebody's fucking crazy or not, and they shouldn't be allowed to have a gun and not pass a psych eval. That's where you can curve a lot of this shit. I think every fucking American that's here should have to serve 2 years in their country's military. Do your 2 years and go live your life like it's golden. But you serve your country and you serve the people of your country for 2 years. Is it Israel? Okay. Thank you. Mandatory. 2 years ain't shit. But you can get physical training, tactical training, weapons training, weapons safety. You would get it all right there. South Korea too. That's what I'm saying. North Korea too. That's all I'm saying. That military training, you can get first aid training, all of the shit that you would need to just be able to actually help people and to serve and to know what to do and how to do shit. You would have some type of training. You graduate your ass from school in motherfucking May, and by fucking August, your ass is enlisted to do your 2 years. Shut the fuck up, go serve, and when you get out, go live your life. We've seen plenty of instances where active shooters have been stopped by good guys with guns. So anybody saying, it's not going to work that way neither. Bullshit, we've seen it. So there's your answer. And when you have these kids like this in school that are the fucking weirdos that are making these fucking idle threats and making these fucking statements for 4 and 5 years, there should be a school resource where that kid has to go for a mental evaluation. You posted on your Instagram that you feel like killing everybody today. You can't do that. Come talk to this fucking psychiatrist or take your punk ass to jail, where you have to do it anyway. That's what we need to do. We need to start helping our fucking own instead of going around helping everybody else in the goddamn world, taking all of our resources, taking all of our funds and sending them everywhere else in the fucking world except for here. And then the minute some shit goes left, the first thing somebody wants to do is provide a law or provide some kind of tax to hit the everyday working American that are law-abiding citizens. It's bullshit. I want to thank everybody that donated tonight. Thank you. Let me hit my people that helped and donated to the PayPal. I appreciate you all. Let me go ahead and shout y'all out too. Please click that like button. And if anybody's watching this on the replay, please feel free to go ahead and click that like button and hit that cash out. This was a great show. It was very informative. And you guys now hopefully have learned how some of this shit is supposed to go. This shit ain't letting me log in. What the fuck? I'll answer a couple more questions if you got them, then we getting out of here. Why won't this shit log me in? PayPal is looking out for you. We noticed some unusual activity and need help securing your account. Oh, shit. Yeah, I can't do it right now. I'm sorry. It's asking me to change my fucking password and all that shit, and I need to sit down and actually do that and look at what it is I'm doing. But shout out to whoever gave me $5, and shout out to somebody else saying thanks for always being fair and informative. I respect your bravery and tackle this issue. I'm sorry. Thank you guys so much. I hope that you guys have a good night. And man, I tell you like this, I feel so embarrassed by the cowards that actually considered themselves law enforcement officers. They disgraced the badge, they've disgraced the brotherhood, and they've actually disgraced themselves. Those babies didn't have to die like they did, and as many of them died, didn't have to die as many as they did. Had you just followed your training, this could have been a much better outcome. Not to say they would have stopped it and saved everybody, but just following some policies and protocols that are already in place could have saved some lives. Keeping the doors locked and not propping the door open could have saved lives. Having a school resource officer actually on site could have helped save some lives. Thank you, everybody. Y'all have a good night, man. I love y'all. Till next time. Peace. And I'm out.
What's going on, everybody out there in the internet world? It's me, Brian Redmond, also known as the Relationship Rehab. And I need you to do two things. What are those two things? Subscribing to both my channels. I need you to go to the Relationship Rehab, subscribe to that channel, and then I need you to go to United Guns of America and go to that channel. Now you may be asking, why would I do that, Brian? Because it's two of the hottest channels on the internet. Come over there, give me your thoughts, give me your opinions, have conversations, because that's what it's all about. We talk about some of everything: politics, relationships, guns, law enforcement, community stuff. Anything that's happening, I'm willing to have a conversation about it. So come on over. You don't got nothing else to lose, and you ain't got nothing else to do. So come to my channel, subscribe ASAP, and join in on the fun. Twice the entertainment, 2 channels, twice the fun. Come on and have a funky good time with your boy. Peace, and I'm out.